You are listening to Get Down to Business. I'm your host, Shalom Klein. This week, we've been talking about leadership development. And if you want to talk about real leadership development, continue listening. We're talking with Chris Everett from Everett Wealth Solutions. She's going to talk about how to do this personally and how to sort of live by example. We're talking with Chris Everett from Everett Wealth Solutions. Chris, how are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Fantastic. So, Chris, let's jump right into it. Financial balance. What is that?
So I love your topic of leadership, number one. So when you think about taking leadership in your finances, achieving financial balance makes perfect sense so that you can arrive at that place. And you know what, for Shalom, there are so many people that are scouring the internet searching for personal finance software. I mean, there's no shortage of stuff that can aggregate your data, balance your checkbook, communicate with your financial institutions, produce reports, charts, graphs. I mean, it's endless.
It really is.
It's meaningless without an interpretive framework. So taking leadership in this area, creating a model that gives you meaning to the numbers, evaluates success or failure, and provides guidance for future decisions really goes a long way in helping you to create financial leadership over your home, your house, and all of the things that you manage financially. Now, traditionally, you might consider thinking about a balance sheet. You go to a banker, you're trying to get some money. The first thing they want to see is your balance sheet, right? Well, a balance sheet only tells part of the story. So everyone, listen to me today, and in your mind, put a picture of a house. The very bottom of the house would represent your cash flow domain or your foundation. Cash flow offers insights into the trends of your finances, if your wealth is growing or diminishing. If you look at your cash flow and you break it into your savings component that comes out of your cash flow, the components of your cash flow that are directed toward insurance costs, the leftover that's left for your lifestyle, those pieces of your cash flow that are actually directed toward debt and tax costs, if you break those components apart, you'll be able to see efficiencies and or inefficiencies to help you create wealth-building success.
So, Chris, this is really important because just before the break, we talked with John Fiegel from Tandem HR about leadership development, and I think what you're saying is sort of I'm taking a little lesson out of here. It's live by example, and as you might be a head of a household, a husband, a wife, a mom, a dad, but live by example. Chris, the other part of your business is on the college planning side. If people take the lead and sort of create that balance sheet, take stock of where they are, they'll be in a better position to be a better leader, to perhaps plan for college, but also to set a good example for children and for others that you might be working with. And it starts at home. You can't only start in the business. You got to start at home, and you got to make sure that you're settled and that you have a plan. You have a plan. And Chris Everett is the one that can help you make that plan.
Well, it's more than just, and it doesn't really matter whether it's college we're talking about or retirement, because at the end of the day, Shalom, achieving financial balance, and taking leadership in this area is going to require not only having a good foundation and understanding what your cash flow is doing, because imagine that house picture I put in your head. That cash flow feeds up into your assets and your liabilities, creating your net worth or the size of your home. But until you take a look at how well your roof is constructed, and you know what your roof represents, Shalom?
Tell me.
It's what protects you. Without a roof over your home, you're completely exposed.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to make sure our clients understand what happens to them if they get sued or if they get sick, or is their will or their trust in place correctly? What happens if they die? All of those pieces of your protection component need to be fully established and be permanently in place. Would you ever consider underinsuring your home or your cars or any of the assets that you have, let alone your life? Would you ever consider underinsuring that?
Of course not. You have to. You have to protect yourself.
That's right. If you don't have the correct protection in place, your balance sheet falls apart or your financial home collapses. So taking financial leadership in your home really means understanding the foundation of where every piece of your cash flow is going, making sure the roof is on correctly so that your assets and liability, or your net worth, if you will, stay completely protected. So I have some rules that we can tell your listeners to live by.
Chris, we've got about just under a minute remaining, so tell us some of those rules.
Okay. Well, number one, they're broken into several categories. And so if we just consider your protection component for a moment, protection first, full replacement, and lifetime protection. Those are three rules that you should live by. And if we move into the next few rules, they cover your assets. Rate of return. Savings or investment returns are important in order to keep pace with your real cost of living. So you want to make sure that you're achieving a decent rate of return. However, rule number 5 is minimal risk. Disciplined savings actually eliminates the need to take too much risk with your money, believe it or not.
Chris, we're going to have to leave it at that. More advice from Chris Everett is at everettwealthsolutions.com or calling Chris directly at 708-771-7777. Chris, thanks for joining us on Get Down to Business. More advice next time we have you on the air.
Shalom, thanks for having me.